Welcome. I'm so glad you're joining me today because we are looking at something absolutely profound. If you've ever wondered how the creator of the universe actually expects us to approach him, you're in the right place. Today, we're diving into the blueprint of divine design. In this explainer, we're going to summarize the key findings of this research, specifically looking at God's absolute sovereignty and his highly specific design for how he interacts with us. We'll see that he literally doesn't leave the terms of our relationship up to us. Instead, he dictates those terms perfectly.
Right off the bat, the absolute foundation for this entire explainer is found right here in the Bible. Exodus 26:30 says, "Set up the tabernacle according to the plan shown you on the mountain." Look at how incredibly direct that is. He leaves absolutely nothing to random human creativity. He doesn't say, just build a tent however you think looks best. No, he says, according to the plan shown you. The instructions for the curtains, the frames, the coverings, the whole layout, every single detail matters because it originates straight from his sovereign mind.
Okay, let's dive into this. We're going to outline the big picture first and then dive right into the details. Here's our roadmap. We'll start with the blueprint of divine design and the historical context of worship. Then we'll compare customized faith versus revealed design, walk through the step-by-step layers of the holy tabernacle, look at the torn veil through Christ, and finally, finish with a clear conclusion on reverence and surrender.
So, Section 1, the blueprint of divine design, which is the simple truth that God defines the way, acknowledging his absolute sovereignty.
The main argument of our source text here is uncompromising. Approaching him must be based entirely on his revealed way, not our own ideas. He is forming a dwelling place where his presence will literally rest among his people, and that requires absolute adherence to his blueprint. Every single measurement, material, and structure has a profound purpose. It's like a giant, perfect puzzle. The tabernacle wasn't just some functional tent, it was a physical representation of a spiritual reality. This perfectly illustrates a core tenet of Reformed Calvinist theology, right? His absolute authority over how we worship and how we live. He's sovereign over the macro and the micro. Nothing in the Bible is left to chance. Every little thing points to his majestic nature. Let's move to Section 2, the historical context of worship, specifically Moses on the mountain. To really grasp this, we need to provide some historical context for the topic before we dive into the specifics. Before a single physical peg was driven into the ground, there was this profound encounter. Looking at this timeline, we see the progression. Day 1, Moses ascends the mountain. Then, for 40 days, he isn't just up there brainstorming, he is receiving the specific, unalterable pattern directly from God. And then it took roughly a year of meticulous craftsmanship to build it exactly to spec. He gave these highly specific instructions long before any physical construction began. The spiritual revelation completely governed the physical reality.
Which brings us to Section 3, Customized Faith versus Revealed Design, two theories of approach.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it compares and contrasts two completely different theories of approach. We have our natural human tendency to customize our faith on one side and his unyielding requirement of intentional design on the other. On the left, human terms. We naturally want a faith that's customized, comfortable, and convenient. We kind of want to shape him around our preferences. Think about the implications of this data for college students today. On a busy university campus, there's immense cultural pressure for students to just create a customized worldview, right? Picking and choosing parts of faith that neatly fit into a packed schedule or match whatever the popular opinion is in the dorm room. But then look at the right side, God's terms, revealed, holy, and purposeful. He makes it incredibly clear that his precise way is infinitely better. We have to surrender our own understanding and realize his design is far superior to our customized comfort.
Let's jump into Section 4, Layers of the Holy Tabernacle, looking at the step-by-step process.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly what we're talking about. We're going to explain the step-by-step process described in the document, examining the spatial layers of the tabernacle from Exodus 26. This shows us how his holiness is physically bounded. Step 1, the protective outer coverings that shield the sanctuary. Step 2, the beautiful inner curtains, signaling a major shift in sacredness. Step 3, the separating veil, a massive, heavy, imposing barrier. And finally, Step 4, the most holy place itself, where his presence dwelt. Walking through this breakdown shows us, abundantly clearly, that access to him is not casual, no way. It is highly restricted and profoundly intentional.
Moving to Section 5, the torn veil through Christ, access to the Father.
Now, thankfully, the narrative doesn't end with restricted access. It pivots to the greatest theological hinge of our entire faith. In Reformed Calvinism theology, we recognize humanity's total inability to approach a holy God on our own merit. That thick separating veil we just talked about, we could never bypass it.
This profound gap is only solved by Jesus, who, through his sacrifice, tore that separating veil from top to bottom, granting us access to the Father. But we've got to understand what this means. Let's look at this definition of reverence: deep awe and intentionality. It's recognizing that while Jesus provided access to him, this incredible privilege demands a holy response. Access should actually lead to more respect, not less. God is near, for sure, but he is absolutely still holy. We're invited in, but we do not ever come carelessly.
And finally, Section 6, Conclusion, Reverence and Surrender. Let's look at living out the research.
So, the crucial point is how we finish with a clear conclusion of the research and practical application. How do we actually live this out? First, spend time in the Bible to understand how he calls you to live. Second, surrender that customized faith we talked about earlier. Just let it go. Third, deeply trust that his way is better. And finally, pray with both confidence because of Jesus and reverence because of his holiness. Again, for college students navigating exams and crazy social pressures, this literally means actively creating intentional, unhurried space to meet with him daily, instead of just squeezing him in between classes. I want to leave you with this final, provocative thought to chew on today. In what areas of your life are you tempted to follow your own pattern instead of his design? Really reflect on your approach to his presence. Are you operating on human terms or God's terms? I truly hope this explainer has left you contemplating your own surrender and made you hungry to explore the Bible further to discover the beauty of his perfect blueprint. Thanks for learning with me today.